All right, so the second thing for today said Schoology Information. So there's some things that you're going to have to do in here to get you jump-started on some of the things that we're going to have to do in Schoology. All right? You're going to have to enter some answers in Schoology. It's not nearly as bad as everybody makes it out to be. If you use your brain and you actually do it often, it's not that big of a deal. All right? It's when you're not paying attention and you only have to do it and you try and do it on your phone. Can you do it on your phone? Yes. Is it easier to do on your tablet? Absolutely. And I watched kids every day last year sit in my room before school and stress out over their phone when their tablet was sitting right there. Okay? So you don't have to have, it's not a tablet thing. There's nothing magic about these tablets. Okay? With the exception of the fact that it's, portable and is a touch screen, it's not any different than any desktop computer. And it's not even that different than your phone. Your phone is portable and touch screen as well. So it's kind of the same. It actually works. So it's not like, well, my tablet doesn't work. Okay, boo-hoo, figure out something else. So here is the second 6 weeks folder. Right? And this is what we've done so far. These actually do have the notes and blank notes and homework in them. And then there's a folder that you can't see yet, but it says Schoology Information. Okay, so you're going to go in here, and this is not due until, where did I put? The 5th. Okay, so it's not due until the 5th, which is next Thursday. We don't have school on Friday. And it's due by 7:10 a.m. You could get it done today after school and be done with it, all right? It's not like it's going to take you that long. I'm just giving you plenty of time because I know you have other stuff going on. But when we submit things in Schoology, if it's a homework thing or whatever, then it's due by 7:10 the morning it's due. And you still hand a paper in to me when you come into the classroom. So you can't be, copying somebody's work first period or whatever. But when you go into the Schoology Information, there's everything you do where you enter stuff in Schoology, they're called tests or quizzes. So it's like a test, even though it's not a test. There's the Schoology acknowledgement first. So I'm going to read through these and talk you through these. And when you go into it, it's like a multiple choice. It's like a true-false thing. Okay, so you read it and you say true or false. Okay, and you'll be able to take both of these. You can do them in an unlimited amount of times. So you do it until you get 100. Okay, because the idea is that you figure out what you can, how to do this and how to do it correctly. And then after we have actually submitted it as an assignment, should be 2 easy hundreds for you, then I'm going to make this available like up at the top of the main Schoology part so that you have something to refer back to when you have questions about it. Okay, because you can always go back and do it again and do it again and do it again. All right, so what this first one says when you actually start it, it says, I understand that answers typed into Schoology incorrectly will not be given credit. Okay, I'm going to make sure that you understand 100% what to do and how to do it. All right, so that when you type it in wrong, you've typed it in wrong, and then it's wrong. And I'm not going to click back through 130 people's homeworks just to give you credit because you typed something in wrong. All right, because Schoology is like click happy. I have to click 1,000 times to do anything. Eileen, sit up, please. Put that down and listen. So you've got to type it in correctly. That's why I'm giving you this to practice on it. And even when things get, the first time we do something that might be a little weird, I usually put the notes in Schoology as an assignment for you to type in. And that way you have what the answer is supposed to be already on your notes and you can practice. It doesn't count as a grade, but if you feel like you need some practice to know that you're doing it right, you can do that. Here is the good thing about typing your answers into Schoology, is that I will make it where you have at least 2 opportunities to submit your homework. Now in this it's unlimited because I want you to practice. But if it was actually a homework assignment, you'll have 2. So you're going to type them in, you type in your answers, it gives you a grade, it tells you which ones are wrong. Right now if you're sitting at home and you do your homework and you don't have me to ask a question to, you don't know which ones are wrong, right? You don't know which ones are wrong until I've graded it and given it back to you. So you'll automatically know I missed 2 and 5. Now you, on your own, can go back and see if you can figure out how to do 2 and 5 and then you can resubmit it. Does that make sense to you? Then when I hand you your homework back, instead of you just getting a piece of paper back that shows that 2 and 5 are wrong, you're like, why the heck are they wrong? Thought I knew what I was doing. Then I can unlock this in Schoology so that then you can go in and see, you can look at 2 and 5 and it'll show you what the right answers were. Okay, so you don't have to spend time in tutoring saying, hey, what was number 2? How do I do that? Because sometimes just knowing what the right answer is can help you get the answer. You might still need help. I'm not saying you can't come in for help, but there's going to be more opportunity for you to take care of it on your own so that you don't have to make that much of an effort. And you'll know sooner. You get much, much, much quicker feedback. All right, so number 2 says, I understand that Schoology assignments must be submitted on time to receive credit. It's 7:10. It shuts off. You didn't submit it? Sorry. Okay, maybe you shouldn't wait until 7:09 to start typing it in. I understand that any paper given must also be turned in on time to receive credit. So I will give you the worksheets just like I have been. Okay, to me it is blasphemous to do math on the 100% on the computer. So you'll still get the assignments where you show all your work. I'm still looking at that stuff. Then you submit your answers and you turn in the piece of paper. If I don't get both things, I don't grade it. Okay? So I still have to have both because your grade isn't coming 100% from Schoology. All right? Some of it, I'm still checking your work. So the Schoology part might be worth 80 points and then the paper part might be worth 20 points because I'm just looking at the work and then you have the answers there. Okay? So both parts are important. I understand that numbers 2 and 3 must both happen when assigned that way. And what that says is submitted on time and turned in the paper. That's what it means by the 2 and 3. I understand that excuses about non-working technology will not get me anywhere. Right? Boo-hoo, cry me a river. Again, maybe you shouldn't have waited until the last minute. Because if you don't have a tablet or your tablet's broken or it's in the one-to-one room, the majority of you have a phone. You don't all, but the majority of you do. If you don't have access to anything because your tablet isn't working, your phone isn't working, there are computers in the library that you can use before, after school, and during lunch. There are computer labs. There are other options. Okay, so you're not going to break my heart and get very far. Just maybe we shouldn't have waited until the last minute. I understand that the school Wi-Fi can be accessed 24/7 and library computers can be used before and after school and at lunch. So again, no excuses. I understand that Schoology can be accessed from any device with internet access and it does not have to be a tablet. So that's kind of what I already said. Is that any computer you have at home, anybody's computer, it's Schoology. There's an app for Schoology too if you want to use it as an app. But it is easier to actually type it in on a tablet than your phone, but it's still totally possible. I understand that Schoology deadlines apply regardless of whether or not I am absent. So if it was due today at 7:10 a.m. and you were absent today, it was still due at 7:10 a.m. You won't give me the paper until the next day, but you shouldn't have waited until 7:09 anyway. I understand that I understand that the only acceptable reason for not meeting a Schoology homework deadline is being absent the day it was assigned. So if I assigned it today and it's due on Tuesday in Schoology, but you're not here, you're going to have an extra day to do your homework just like normal, which means you're not going to type it into Schoology. Okay, it's too crazy for me to have to go in and back and reassign it. So if you're absent the day something is assigned and you are allowed an extra day, then you do not have to type it into Schoology. Does that make sense to you? All right, any questions about any of that? I think I kind of hit everything. Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm. Okay, on Schoology, you won't see, like, it is a pain in the butt to put pictures on Schoology. You don't get to cut and paste. You have to, like, save each little diagram as a picture. It's insane. So instead, what you'll see on Schoology, and I probably should have pulled up one of those to show you, you'll just see, like, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, and you just take your answers from your worksheet and you just type them in. So it's the same word. You're just typing in what you got. If on number 1 you got x equals 5, you type x equals 5. Number 2, y equals 3, y equals 3. You're just typing it in. That's it. But you're not doing it 2 times. You're doing it, and then you're taking your answers and just typing them in. The typing them in part should take you like 2 minutes. It's not gonna. You don't have to have Schoology up the whole time you're doing your homework. Do your homework and then put it in there. And I also always, unless I mess something up, put it in as resumable, which means that if you come in the day before, like the day it's due, and you're in here before 7 o'clock because you have a question, and it's due at 7:10, everything else should already be typed in. Okay, because it's not going to, you don't have to submit it, you can save it. And then I help you on number 3, now you get it, now you can type in number 3 and then submit it. You're not having to type in everything right at the last minute. Does that make sense to you? So you can go ahead and get them put in there and then you can always go back and change them before you submit it. Okay, we good? All right, but it is a good thing in the end. All right, so that really, you just read through these and then it's true, false, true, false, true, false, no big deal. The other one is where you can actually practice. So I'm going to go back to my Schoology information maybe. It's thinking about going back. And the other one is called, how do I type this in Schoology? And it explains in words. I explain by showing you, and then you have an opportunity to practice actually typing it in. When I type stuff in as a question, I have access to the rich text editor where I can make things have exponents and this and that. You don't have access to that when you are typing in an answer. So that way, that means you have to use the caret top and stuff for the exponents. What the heck? Come on. I don't have time for this. All right, there we go. So how do I type this into Schoology? All right, so what this says, and I know you can't really see it, but I'm just going to kind of talk you through each one of them. It says make sure you type expressions and equations exactly how you would see them, like how you would normally see them typed, or how you would type them if you're typing up the equation yourself. That means that there are spaces around the plus and minus, right? So this is 2x plus 3 minus 4z. So there's not a space between 2 and x. That doesn't make any sense, right? Because they're stuck together. That's what we do. But you don't stick the addition sign to it. So it's 2x space plus space 3y space, okay? And it tells you what to do. It gives you the equation, and then you can type it in and just practice making sure you can type it in correctly, all right? Yes. Yes, that's what I said. You're going to have this, and then I want you to practice all the, because some of these you're going to practice, and then we may not use that specific thing for a while, but after this is due, I'm going to reassign it to where it doesn't count as anything up at the top of Schoology, so it's easy to find. And yes, you can get to it all year. You can go back and practice. You don't have to do them all every time. If you just need a reminder on how to do that, it's there. Okay. Yes, ma'am. Okay, then you need to go to the one-to-one room. If you have issues with your tablet, you need to go to the one-to-one room. Yeah, oh yeah, yeah, exactly. There's also a touch screen keyboard you can pull up. But yes, but if something isn't working, you need to go to the one-to-one room. All right, so then it says make sure you type expressions and equations exactly how you see them. There needs to be spaces. I kind of repeated that. Now, if there's a fraction in front of the variable, order of operations takes care of the fact that you have to type a slashy fraction. So this isn't one thing that I've covered a whole lot with y'all yet, but if by slashy, I don't know, I hope you can see that because I can't really make it bigger, but when you make the sideways fraction bar, I'm going to encourage you not to write that ever. It should be written more like this, but you have to type it in that way. But order of operations says that you're going to do 1 divided by 2 times x, which is basically what that is right there, so you're good, all right? It looks like 1 divided by 2x, but that's not what it is. If you want 1 divided by 2x, that 2x has to be in parentheses. Right, so this makes it okay like that. And then minus 7, you got to make sure your spaces are there. So basically, it's like a little bit of this, but a little bit more, and then you can practice typing that in. Yes, so if it was actually 1 over 2x, this 2x right here would have to be in parentheses to show that both things are in the denominator. Yes, absolutely. All right, and then, so same thing, all this is just, make sure your spaces are there, but then exponents, you have to use the caret top, but you're used to that. You have to do that on the calculator anyway. Right, but that you have to do it that way because you don't have access to the editors. You do in other things in Schoology, but not when you're typing in answers. And then square roots, right? So you don't have access to the square root sign either. So we use SQRT with parentheses. So if I want the square root of 5, it's SQRT parentheses 5. You got to close your parentheses so we know what we're taking the square root of. All right, so it's not that big of a deal. You'll get used to it. You do it every time. It's no big deal. It really isn't. If you just get over yourself and stop complaining about it and just do it, it's really not that big of a deal. Most people do not have issues with this. The people that have issues with this are the people that are always trying to type it in at 7:09 and they never really practiced. And yeah, I don't know. I can't help you with that. This is what happens with the square roots and the fractions, but it explains it to you. I show you how it should be typed, and then all you have to do is copy what I did, basically, so that you understand where the spaces are. Right? I didn't want to just show you in case you weren't sure about something, but really, you don't put a space when you multiply something. You don't put a space when you divide something. That doesn't make any sense. All right, pi, you don't have access to the pi key. We're going to use pi a lot, so we just have to do pi. So 14 with the pi symbol is really 14 pi. No big deal. And then we could have pi and fractions, so the same thing, but I've shown you what to do, what not to do here. You can read through that. All right, units. Units are a big thing, okay? And I'll tell you right now, I got an email from a dad a couple years ago about, well, all he did was type the units in wrong. Well, my TEKS, which is the state, what the state actually says that I have to teach you, they specifically say blah, blah, blah with correct units. And correct units are not stuck to the number, okay? So you can argue it all day long, but you wouldn't write it like that, so you're not going to type it like that, right? So it's the same thing. It's just exactly what you're writing, you're typing, because that's not how you would write it. So we have to use, like if it's meters squared, you have to use the caret top. But there's a space between the 25 and the M, and this is what not to do. So make sure you type it in right. We use units a lot. And if you have more than one term that the units need to be attached to, there has to be parentheses there. That should be written that way too. I'm going to count it wrong on your paper if you don't have the parentheses, because otherwise you're just saying the inches squared goes with the last term, right? It's proper to do it that way. That's how it should be written. Therefore, that's how it has to be typed, okay? And that's why it is typed that way a lot of times. And then these are just, so that kind of explains all the different things that could happen. And then these are just ones that you go and practice on your own. Okay? And when you submit it, if you get something wrong, it's going to tell you which one's wrong. It's going to show you what the right answer is, so you can kind of compare what you did wrong, so that when you go back and you do it again, you won't make that same mistake. And that's the idea of practicing typing it in. Okay? Maybe you only have to do it once. Maybe you need to do it a few times because it's confusing, but it's really not that bad. Okay? Any questions about any of that? We good? Yes. Yes, and this is technically 2 assignments, because there's 2 different things. This one's going to be the one that takes you longer because you have to actually type stuff in. The other one is just a true-false. Basically, just read the statements again, true or false, and then you just move on. Should be 2 easy hundreds, because you can take them both as often as you want to. This will be available to you today right after school. Okay, and then you have until next Thursday at 7:10 a.m. Okay, we good? Huh? What? Oh, what time do we leave? In 5 minutes. So all of you that have like all your stuff on your shoulder and you're ready to run out the door, you might as well relax and get something out, because you got 5 minutes and you're going to work till the bell.